Good morning, everyone. This is Lexi coming at you with another budget commander list. And today we're going to be playing Volo Guide to Monsters. So I'm very excited to present this deck to you because it's going to be fun, especially if we can resolve our commander and protect it. And we're going to get a lot of value out of this commander. So first, let's see what it does. So it's a 4-mana Simic commander that says whenever you cast a creature spell that does not share a creature type with a creature you control or a creature in your graveyard, you get to copy that spell. So we get to double up on basically every single creature we play as long as Volo is on the battlefield. So let's look at the creature base. We are a little bit creature heavy with 33, but there were so many good creatures that I had to include all of these. So let's take a look. So we have acidic slime. Basically, when it ETBs, you get to destroy a target artifact, enchantment, or land. So if we're doubling up on this, we can get to do this twice. I would avoid the land destruction unless you really need to do it, because most people don't really like when you're blowing up their lands, and I'm usually a fair player and I don't do stuff like that. But if you have to do it, you have to do it. Next, we have Avenger of Zendikar. Basically, when the ETBs, you make a 0/1 plant for each land you control, and then whenever a land ETBs under your control, you put a 1/1 counter on each plant. Next, Beast Whisperer. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you get to draw a card, and if there are two of these, you get to draw two. Birds of Paradise to ramp us early game. Clever Impersonator to come in as a copy of any non-land permanent on the battlefield. So this could be Volo, or this could be some other card that we control, or something that your opponent controls. Next is Consecrated Sphinx. When it ETBs, whenever your opponent draws a card, you may draw two cards. So if you have two of these on board, you get to draw four every time your opponent draws one. Next, we have Defiler of Vigor, basically a 6/6 trampler that allows us to play Phyrexian mana to cast spells with green in their mana symbols. And then whenever you cast a green permanent spell, you get to put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Then we play Enray's Forerunners as a late game winner. Basically, when it ETBs, it has Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. And then all the creatures get +2/+2 Vigilance and Trample. And if Volo is out, we get to copy this, and then we give our creatures +4/+4, and they have Trample. Next, God Eternal Ronus. Basically, when it ETBs, you get to double the power of each other creature you control until the end of the turn, and those creatures gain Vigilance. And then when this dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you may put it into the owner's library, third from the top. Next, we're playing a new card called Gruff Triplets. When it ETBs, you get to, if it isn't a token, you get to create two tokens that are a copy of it. So you end up with three creatures that have 3/3. And whenever it dies, you put a number of 1/1 counters equal to its power on each other creature you control, named Gruff Triplets. Next, we play Hamlet Glutton. It is a 7 mana with Bargain, so if you sacrifice an artifact, enchantment, or token, as you cost this spell, it costs 2 less to cast. So instead of being 7 mana, it becomes 5 mana. It has Trample, and then when it ETBs, you get to gain 3 life. Next, we're playing Hornlock Whale, which is also a new card. So for its adventure cost of 2 as an instant, you can return an attacking creature you don't control, and you get to put it on the top or bottom. The opponent gets to choose whether to put it on the top or bottom of their library. We could also flash this in, and then it has War 2. But if we do flash it in on our opponent's turn, it enters the battlefield tap. But if it is our turn, it comes in untapped as a 6/6. Next, we play Hornet Queen because it has flying and death touch. But the cool thing about it is when the ETBs, you can create 4 1/1 green insect creature tokens with flying and death touch. So if we double up on this, we're going to get 8 1/1s. And we also have 2 Hornet Queens with flying and death touch. Next, we play Elysian Caryatid 2-mana spell that allows us to add 1 mana of any color, but if we control a creature with power 4 or greater, we add 2 mana, and then if Volo is out, we get to double this up, and then if once it comes back to our turn, if we do control a creature with power 4 or greater, we can tap both Elysian to generate 4 mana for us. Next, we play Junk Winder. It has affinity for tokens, so it costs 1 less to cast for each token you control. And then whenever a token enters the battlefield under our control, you can get to tap a target non-land permanent in opponent's control, and it doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So the reason why this is good for us, if Volo's out, we get 2 of these. Whenever another token ETBs, we can tap 2 things, and then they won't untap during our opponent's untap step. Next, we play Loyal Drake, because it just allows us to draw cards. So at the beginning of our combat for a turn, if we control our commander, you draw a card, and if there's 2 of these out, we'll draw 2 cards. Next, we play Managorger Hydra, a very solid 3-mana spell with trample that says whenever a player casts a spell, you put a 1/1 counter on it. So this thing, if it goes unchecked, can get very big very quickly, and then we can just swing with it for trample damage. Next, we play Marrowleaf Pixie just to help ramp us. Then we play Mind Flayer. So if we have 2 of these on board, we can gain control of target creature as long as this is on the board. Then we play Muldrifter to draw us cards, or play it for its evoke cost to draw cards and sacrifice it. Next is Murkfiend Liege. Basically says other green creatures you control get +1/+1, and then other blue creatures you control get +1/+1, and then untap all green or blue creatures you control during each player's untap step. So this will help protect us, keep our board up so we can block if we need to, and then, it's just, and if we double up on this, it's cool too, because we're going to get double buff. Next, we play Ornithopter of Paradise as a ramp spell, ramp creature, mana dork, and then Peregrine Drake, just because it's basically a free spell, because we cast it for 5, and if it ETBs, you untap 5 lands. Next, we play Prosperous Innkeeper to generate us a treasure token and gain us life along the way. Then we play Ragadas the Brown, that basically says whenever it or another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get to look at the top X cards of your library, where X is that creature's mana value. You may reveal a creature that doesn't share a creature type with a creature you control from among those cards, put it into your hand, and then put the rest on the bottom in any order. Secure Tribe Elder to allow us to thin our deck and get lands for us. Silverback Elder, because it has 3 really cool built-in abilities. That says whenever you cast a creature spell, you get to choose one. So you can either destroy a target artifact or enchantment. You can look at the top 5 cards of your library and put a land from among them onto the battlefield tap, which works good, especially for our landfall creatures. And then if we need to, we can gain life in a pinch, and we can gain 4 life. Next, we play Solemn Simulacrum to allow us to ramp and get basic lands onto the battlefield tap. If this comes in while Volo is on board, we get an additional 1, so we get 2 lands. And then whenever this dies, you may draw a card. Then we play Spark Double to have it come in as a copy of a creature or planeswalker you control, except it enters in with additional 1/1 counter on it if it's a creature, and the same goes if it were a planeswalker. Next, we play Tendershoot Dryad because of its ascend ability. So if you control 10 or more permanents, you have City's Blessing, and then at the beginning of each combat, you create a Saproling, and then Saprolings you control get +2/+2 as long as you have City's Blessing. And then if we have another Tendershoot Dryad on board, we'll be creating 2 tokens, and then all of those tokens will get +4/+4. Then we play Topiary Stomper just to thin our deck and get lands onto the battlefield for us. Uro allows us to gain life and draw a card and put a land onto the battlefield. And then if we did not escape it, we have to sacrifice it. But for 2 green and 2 blue, we can exile 5 other cards from our graveyard, and then we can play this for an escape cost. And then our final creature is Wildwood Mentor. Whenever a token enters the battlefield under our control, you put a 1/1 counter on it, and then whenever it attacks, another target attacking creature gets XX, where X is its power. For sorceries, we're going to be playing Crackling Counterpart to make a copy of a target creature, non-frog, and then we can flash this back for 5. Explorer allows us to draw a card and play an additional land. Golden Ratio helps us draw cards. Harmonize helps us draw cards. Vile Duplication allows us to create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it has flying and isn't legendary. Then Kodama's Reach for ramp. Overwhelming Stampede as an endgame winner. Preordained to scry 2 and draw. Shamanic Revelation to draw a card and gain 4 life for each creature with power 4 or greater. And then Sky Shroud Claim to search our library for up to 2 forests and put them onto the battlefield. Next, we're going to be playing, for instance, Entis Restoration to get lands. Growth Spiral to draw a card and put a land from our hand onto the battlefield. Herald to ramp. Heroic Intervention for protection. Return of the Wild Speaker to either draw cards or give non-human creatures +3/+3. Saw it coming as a counterspell. Second Harvest to make copies of our tokens. And Tameo Safekeeping and Tyvar Stand for protection. And Tyvar Stand could possibly win us the game if we have a trample creature and we dump a ton of mana into this card. For artifacts, we're going to be playing Arcane Signet, Commander Sphere, Lightning Greaves, Simic Signet, Soul Ring, Swift Boots, and Talisman of Curiosity. And then for enchantments, Beastmaster's Ascension, that says whenever a creature you control attacks, you may put a quest counter on this. And then if you have 7 or more quest counters, all of your creatures get +5/+5. Then we play Elemental Bond to draw cards. If a creature with power 3 or greater enter the battlefield. Next is Elven Chorus, which allows us to look at the top card of our library. We may cast creature spells from the top, and all of our creatures we control add 1 mana of any color. Garrett's Uprising to draw us cards. So when it ETBs, if we control a creature with power 4 or greater, we draw a card. Creatures we control have trample, and then whenever another creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield, draw a card. And then finally, Tribute to the World Tree. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you draw a card if its power is 3 or greater. Otherwise, you put 2/1/1 counters on it. As far as lands control, we're going to be playing Castle Garenbrig to generate us 6 green mana for 4. We can only use it on creature spells. Castle Vantress to help us scry. Mosswork Bridge for Hideaway 4. And that's about it. So that's the deck in a nutshell. As you can see, we curve out around 3. So turn 3, things get nutty. As far as our mana symbols, 68% are green, 29% are blue, and 14% are colorless. So this deck is going to cost you around $240. So if you like this deck tech and this style of content, please leave me a subscribe on YouTube, and I hope you have a great day.